sitting around with family. There was individuals sitting around boxes with screens, and they forgot how to grow their own food. And hunting was replaced by practices which were cool, and everything seemed to be divided by plastic made with petrochemical oil, which was extremely toxic. And these people also ran their cars on that oil, which polluted the air and the water and the soil. But the ones who benefited didn't care about the earth. They were only interested in how much the oil was worth. When they started running out, they started fighting for control to secure the world's supply. Petroleum was their goal, so they assembled their armies and their wars destroyed life. They hid the truth from the people, kept it out of their sights. And millions of people were betrayed by these lies, convinced to kill each other and watch each other die. Entire cultures were destroyed before our very eyes. We just sat around and watched the fire falling from the sky. But all the time we knew that it could happen to us. We were living in fear and we were on the same bus. By invading other people we created more enemies, but they believed that they were doing it to make themselves free. This is the world that I grew up in, so you understand my brain when it begins to spin, searching for solutions, a better way to be. And I think much clearer when I begin to breathe. So I breathe in the air. Yeah, take a deep breath. It's everywhere. Heal my spirit, heal my body, heal my soul. I know who I am, consciousness spinning through sacred air.
Deep breath for a beautiful day. It's beautiful weather out there. Good morning to you, Terry Larson.
And Pete the Tax Guy.
And we are here to entertain, inform, and possibly enrage you here on KPFZ, the wonderful sound voice of Lake County Community Radio. And it's been a nice week, another good week under our belts here. Got a lot done this week, work-wise. Had some good meetings. What would you like to talk about first?
I think the most exciting news would be...
You're fine.
Am I?
Yes.
That's better, thank you. Now I can hear myself.
You're fine.
Right. Since we had a very boring week except for work,
All right.
I think the most exciting news was the announcement and the signature gathering of Andre Ross.
Oh, yes, Friday. He got in 15 minutes under the wire. We're really happy to see that there's going to be someone running against the current district attorney. I think it's going to be an interesting race. He's very qualified, has had criminal experience. He also is a Phi Beta Kappa and a Fulbright scholar, and also very qualified in the work that he's doing over at Ewing and Associates Attorneys. His name is Andre Ross, and you'll be hearing from him. I know he's got a couple of interviews already scheduled. I believe one with Olga, and I'm not sure who the other one is, but we're in third position, so hopefully by next Wednesday we'll be able to get him on our show. I'm not sure what the time frame is, but as soon as we can, we'll have him on so that y'all can get to know who he is and what he represents.
Well, I just think overall for the election process, no matter what you may think about Mr. Anderson or what you may think he needs to be replaced, I think it's good to have an actual candidate running against him just for disclosure and truthfulness.
Absolutely.
And all the other good stuff that goes on during the elections.
Exactly.
Except that could have been an oxymoron, I just said.
No comment.
No.
But the good news is that there is someone who's highly qualified running for district attorney,
Right.
and I think that, I think it would be a really good thing if we could look to the future instead of the past at this point.
And I think, didn't you talk to somebody that actually had retained him for services and said he
Yes,
was
and
extremely
they
thorough
loved
and
him,
honest
yeah.
individual?
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of people have said that, and he comes highly recommended in a lot of different circles as well. So just a low-key guy, nobody really knows much about him as far as socially speaking, other than I think he's single, and he's, not a big upfront person. He just does his job and
well, it's funny, when we
keeps on
heard
trucking.
about his announcement, I'm like, I just never heard that name before.
and we've actually retained that firm.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, does he exist? Where is the Upper Lake hiding somewhere? So no, Lakeport. And he's just very low profile,
Yep,
low key
low
individual,
profile,
just
exactly.
doing his job without getting involved in the
Politics.
usual politics of our county. That's all.
But he issued an interesting statement on his interpretation of what the DA office represents. That was printed.
Yeah.
So
So the the campaign will bring out all the good, bad, and the ugly, unfortunately. But
well, if there's any secrets, the people in the opposition will dig them up because they're really good at that.
But it looks like he's actually a good candidate to at least to run against Mr. Anderson and find out, what's good, what's bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a very exciting news. And refresh me on our weekend. It seems like it was a
What weekend?
dull blur.
See, you did your other show.
Yes.
And
My music show.
we did nothing.
We didn't.
Well, excuse me,
Well,
I cleaned up the yard.
that's right. We had a weekend off for a change.
And then for something that is, to you all may seem humorous, to me it's been a royal
Oh,
pain.
no. This is a nightmare. Starting from last Thursday, this is just
we
been a
have
mess.
goat problems. And all of you
Yes.
laugh out there can laugh your head off, but I'm tired of rescuing my silly, stupid,
Dumb bunny goat.
goats who know how to stick their heads through the fence but don't know how to get them back out.
Yes. Those horns become a problem.
Yeah.
And one of our goats lost her horn last year in the fence,
Right.
pulling it back too fast. So she had a small one grow back, but it's grown back flush against her skull, so she can get her head out herself without too much help. But the other one, oh my goodness. She spent most of the day yesterday stuck in the fence
Yep.
because we just couldn't come home and take care of her.
Yep.
I got a call from the neighbor, your goat's stuck in the fence.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I was like, well, we've had to do this every hour on the hour over the whole weekend, and we just can't run back now because she'll do it again in an hour. So
And folks,
had
she
to
was
wait.
not hurt. She was not stressed out. She just got her head stuck in the
She
horse
takes it
fence.
very
And she
pragmatically.
just kneels down like, okay, I just got to wait for him to come home again. It's
Yeah.
okay. So
She's so funny.
You animal lovers out there, they're not being hurt. We're not ignoring them. We're taking very good care of them.
Oh, it was so funny this morning, though, because, even since we got home last night, after that adventure, she hasn't gotten herself stuck
No, she hasn't.
in the fence since.
she
And
was
I think
there
that's
for-
really a telling sign. Hopefully she's learned something.
She was there for, 6 hours or
But
so.
I've been told that goats don't learn very well. So.
Yes, and folks, yes, we've already been told the remedy. Yes, we know we need to put chicken wire around the yard. Well, I got news for you, folks. I have a big yard.
Yeah, it's not something
And-
we can just jump out and do.
Right. And we've been told to cut their horns. Well, I don't want to cut their horns. I just think that's not right. So I guess we're just going to have to tether them up for a while if they don't learn their lesson.
If you can, if we come home today and they're
Well,
like
they're
that,
stuck
then we
again.
put them on a rope.
Exactly. So
Okay.
no worries.
All right. Well, we've got a caller.
Of course we do.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, hi. I heard you say you had goat problems, and I thought you were going to talk about wild goats. I came over from Santa Rosa, Hopland Grade this morning, and saw two mountain goats cross the road in front of me.
Oh,
Really?
Cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow, I'm so glad to hear they're around.
Yeah, that's what I thought people would enjoy hearing that.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
We love our goats.
No, these are our domestic.
The wild or domestic, we love them.
Yeah, these are my lawnmowers, folks, so I got to take care of them. Because I don't own a lawnmower.
Yeah, what really makes me angry is that, the old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side of the
This is a
road
very-
or the fence. Well, these goats seem to think that the exact same grass that's growing outside the fence is better than the grass that's all over our yard right now.
And this problem has only
at
started.
about 4 inches. I mean, they just don't even mess with that, but they want the stuff outside the fence.
And this problem started once the grass started growing again because of the rain. So now they're like, look at all that good stuff on the other side of the fence.
And I guess it's always greener, even to goats.
Yeah, I guess. So, anyway. So let's see what else. We had a massive earthquake off Eureka.
Yes, 6.9, which is sizable. It was 50 miles off the coast of Eureka, and there were some small aftershocks, 3.0 in that level, and very, I don't know, to me it was kind of scary. It was almost like this is the beginning of something, because they
The
did
beginning
predict
of the
harder
end.
ones to come. And it's good that nobody on the coast really suffered any damages or
There wasn't no
anything.
tidal waves.
They felt it
tsunamis.
shaking, but that was about as far as
Yeah.
it went. But it was felt like as far, I think, east as Shasta.
Really?
And as far north as parts of Oregon.
Interesting.
Okay, we
Another one.
another caller?
All right.
I guess.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Well, I'm really surprised we have wild goats. Maybe they're feral goats, but anyway.
That's what I was thinking. That probably, I don't think there's any indigenous wild goats here.
No, but neat that they're surviving there. That's always cool to see.
It's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, but your goat problem kind of reminds me of a guy who was talking the other night, and he was complaining about his tenants, and then he said, "I know, I've got rich man problems."
Oh.
Well, we have tenant problems too, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, again, they're rich man problems. It's really kind of, oh, gee, that's too bad. But I want to say...
Oh, really? If I was a rich man, I could fix the problem.
Well, the rest of us don't have tenants. I'm so sorry. Actually, I do, but anyway.
Oh, here we go.
The truth comes out.
But I want to say, hearing that Andre Ross is running is awesome. And just by comparison, when you mentioned that he had clients that raved about the service that he did for them, the opposite is true of Anderson. I had engaged Anderson and ended up having to threaten him seriously in order to get him to do his job. He was the worst manager. And when he ran, I thought, gosh, what we really need is a good manager as DA, if nothing else. The guy couldn't even manage himself, let alone anybody else. So I don't know how they've done. But Andre also was instrumental in the local mediation, getting mediation going in this county. And he's much respected by the mediation community. So he's also a great musician.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Plays music as for fundraisers and things like that. Piano and sings. So, but he's a very smart man, as you can tell by his academic career.
Absolutely.
And also, yeah, as opposed to others.
And he gave a very good statement as to what he felt the job entailed and how he would like to see it.
I look forward to reading it, but I can already tell, just as you have described, the man's ego isn't in there. What's in there is just a love for justice and a love for people.
That's what it seems. We haven't met him yet, but it does seem that way at this point. Yes.
And some of the information we've been provided, it appears that he has some very good ideas, which obviously he needs to expand on, in regards to what he would like to do if he is elected, in regards to some corruption issues and things of that nature. So,
great.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that, and there's someone I think I want to work for.
Yay!
Exactly.
Yay.
Thanks for letting us all know about it.
Sure.
Hey, thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Since when owning goats is a rich man's business?
That's what I want to know. If I was rich, I'd have a lawn care guy. I wouldn't be using goats to cut my lawn.
Do you know how much hay and feed they go through?
Oh, my goodness.
Whew.
Well, that's why I guess he says it's a rich man's
yeah,
thing.
well, whatever.
But if we were rich, we'd have the fence fixed.
Whatever.
That'd be the first no-brainer.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the next not exciting news, but intriguing news is Flight 370.
Oh, my goodness. This plane just dropped out of the sky. They don't
Literally.
know what happened to it. 239 people aboard.
Yeah.
And they were flying from Malaysia to China. And now they're saying that somehow the plane backtracked into the, I believe, China Sea. They think it crashed into an area that is northwest of
Right,
of
yes.
Malaysia, instead of northeast where the plane was directly going. Right. So,
well, I think it was a
very
time warp.
strange. Yeah.
Time warp took place.
Very strange. Well, time warp
Or
or
warp tunnel
alien or something happened.
Well, it's just like those movies where the planes disappear into a different dimension.
Well, they found 2 oil slicks, but now they say the plane didn't go down over in that
That's
area.
right.
So there's absolutely no trace of this plane. How does that happen? I mean, I guess it's feasible that the plane could go down completely intact and everything sink.
The plane would explode on impact into the ocean.
Not if it enters the water at the right angle, I would think. Because of the nose structure and the wings, everything's so aerodynamic. I guess if it hit the water in a way that...
If there are any engineers out
wasn't a
there
direct
listening,
hit.
please call in.
Just logically speaking, it seems it possible it could go in without destroying anything, but there would still be a oil slick or some kind of evidence that something happened, I would think, Very strange. But God bless all those people. And the
Yeah.
other weird thing was there was 2 Iranians that had stolen passports who had gotten on the plane as well.
Right.
Which brings up the idea, well, maybe it was a terrorist takeover,
well, what
that the pilot caught onto and ditched the plane to save somebody, or...
But the initial investigation on those 2 stolen passports by the Iranians was that they were trying to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, they were trying to get to Germany or someplace
they
for
wanted to get out of
asylum.
Iran, exactly.
Yeah. But that's that's the cover story.
course.
Who knows if it's true,
Right.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say the last gentleman who called had Andy Rossoff mixed up with Andrew Ross.
Now, his name is Andre
Andre.
Ross?
Andre Ross,
Yes.
he was talking about Andy Rossoff, who was the head of mediation and who plays the piano. Different person entirely.
Okay, I did not hear him say that name, so I'll have to review the tape when we get done, but
He didn't say Andy Rossoff's name, but he described him
oh, well, I don't
as a
know. Maybe he
piano
can call
player
back and
and
clarify.
musician.
Maybe he can.
And I think he just had the wrong person associated with Andre Ross's name.
Okay, well, maybe I'm sure he's listening. He'd like to call back and clarify. We'd appreciate that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, on that note.
Yes.
Okay. And on a humorous note, if it's humorous, the email that we received regarding the Lake County signage, the quagga mussels.
Yes, the picture of the quagga mussel sign. I'm not sure what boat ramp it was on, but the quagga mussel sign is posted, and then on top of the quagga mussel sign, directly covering up the phone number for information about or to report quagga mussels or non-tagged boats, is a sign that says, "The water's shallow, be careful with your boats going in the water," or something like
Launch
that.
at your own risk
Launch
because
at
of
your
low
own
water
risk.
level.
Covering up the telephone number for the quagga mussel inspection program.
Yeah, so.
Very efficient use of county time and money.
Yes.
Yeah.
A county posting on top of another county posting on
It's
top
like,
of
hello, you couldn't have hammered a stake in and put a separate sign. You had to use the one that was really needs to have the number.
Well, I guess they had to post the low water level so they wouldn't get sued for damaging someone's boat, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, but that was just very...
Just
different.
government at work.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, see what else. Oh, by the way, should we tell the folks who's going to be here at 10 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, John Brosnan's coming in. He's going to be talking to us about his campaign for District 3 Supervisor.
And we have some nice questions for him.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
I think it's a wonderful thing that we have
Well,
an
John's-
ability for people to come and give their opinions here.
Absolutely. And John's a different type of candidate, too. Okay, don't laugh at me.
Well, the way you said that, there is absolutely no reason. I would never argue with that statement.
But just his whole approach and his campaign, it's just a little bit different than what you would expect. And I think I'm intrigued by how he's going to do this and all that good stuff. So we'll be asking some different questions. for
So,
him.
according to Herb Gurr, he was at a meeting last night we were at, and he said that there's 6 candidates actually that were confirmed, but they have until 1 today, maybe?
I don't know.
We should go by elections while we're going to be in the county building
We
today.
can do that after lunch.
And that there was 10 originally running for District 3, and Craig dropped out, and now there's 9. But it looks like only 6 actually made it into the registration
Right.
process.
Right.
So we will have all the candidates for District 3 here. Every week we'll be interviewing another candidate for another political office. And we haven't confirmed who our next guest is, but keep an eye on our Facebook page. We'll announce it there. And I'm sorry, we have to have a point of contact for people.
Okay.
If they want to know more about the show, it's called Lake County Magazine Radio Show.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's where we will post who the next people are that we'll be interviewing.
Okay. Hopefully it's Mr. Ross, but we'll find out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's debatable. It's either going to be Mr. Ross or one of the sheriff candidates.
Ooh,
So,
baby.
yeah. So either way, it's going to be good next week. And all of our interviews will be done at 10 a.m., so you'll be able to tune in at that time and get to hear someone new talking about their bid for local government. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, you guys.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good.
Good, good.
I hate that when I lose my airliner.
Your hairliner?
My airliner, I was just...
I know.
It's a shame.
Sucks. It's very sad. And there were,
How
I
could
think,
you
3
lose?
Americans, including one actual natural born. I think the other 2 were babies who had passports or something. So, yeah, how do you lose an airline?
They have a transponder. They have multiple transponders.
Yeah.
Something is really fishy about this.
Very strange, and even if it exploded into smithereens, there'd still be some kind of a debris trail.
Yep. Stuff floats out of an airplane.
Yes, it does.
So the lake is stunning. The lake report is beautiful.
Super.
Well over 7 feet of clarity, 54 degrees, 7.8 pH. The current reversed, which I've never seen before, changed that hard, but it's going in the easterly direction this morning.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Easterly.
So I have a short rant.
Please.
Sometimes life is messy. Personally, I went through a divorce, and it's always so much fun. And I lost all of my paperwork for years.
Oh, my goodness.
And I didn't qualify for Obamacare. And I just want to say Sutter Lakeside helped me out.
Really?
They don't do free medicine, but they definitely took care of me, and they worked with me. And so I really want to give a big thumbs up to Sutter Lakeside.
Yay.
If you're sick, don't be sick. Go talk to these people, and you may be refreshingly surprised at what they're willing to do for local people. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of...
Can I ask you a question, please?
Sure.
And you don't have to say this on the air. You know how to get hold of me off the air. I don't understand why you do not qualify for Obamacare. Everyone automatically qualifies for Obamacare.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
I do not. I do not qualify. I have carefully arranged my life so that it doesn't take a lot of money. I make less than $10,000 a year.
Yeah, but they still have to give you Medi-Cal.
Yeah, but Medi-Cal, you have to have your Social Security, you have to have your original birth certificate.
No, you do not, sir.
No, we just went through it.
Believe me.
No, we went through it.
They told me that I don't qualify.
Okay.
Sent me a letter.
Can you?
Oh, that happened to us too, but that's because there's 2 different kinds of Medi-Cal. One is the Medi-Cal that goes through, what do they call it? Like
social
services. The other is Obamacare Medi-Cal, and you have to call them and make sure that they have that differentiation.
We went through this ourselves.
Yeah.
It was not possible for me, and I'm not making it up.
No.
I literally fell through the cracks, and the Medi-Cal was willing to help me, but I couldn't come up with the paperwork.
Okay, can you contact me?
I'm also a libertarian and decided to pay for it myself.
That's fair enough.
Despite the fact that I have limited income, and it worked out fine for me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. Go in and get help. If you fall through the cracks, the Sutter's going to stand there and catch you.
I'm glad to hear that, but I just feel like there's a way to fill those cracks. So if anybody feels like they're not being served, we welcome them to contact us off the air, and we'll be happy to see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll be happy to help you get through it.
I got an expert in Santa Rosa, the latest guy, and he knew everything about it. And he threw up his arms and said, "I'm sorry, you're one of the people I can't help."
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's really not.
It's okay. It worked out fine thanks to Sutter.
Thank
That's
you.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
That's very good.
All right, you guys.
Okay, Matt. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And by the way, that's not a rant. That's a
Kudos.
good thing. Yeah, kudos.
Kudos.
Just to get our terms straight here. Have a good day. Thanks, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. No, I know. There's been rumors that certain people are going to fall through the cracks, but I guess if you don't have any documentation, you do have to have something. I don't think they'd required that.
Well, first of all, let me just.
But maybe that's because we've already provided.
I don't want to dispute what the caller said or what his expert said, but Obamacare under our federal law is a requirement. You have no choice. So when you apply based on the income you put into the system, that'll tell you if you qualify for any of the silver, platinum, gold plans, or if you fall back into the Medi-Cal arena. And if you fall into the Medi-Cal, what happens is you do receive that letter saying you got to apply Social Security, you got to do this, you got to do that. But if you contact the rep directly, like we did, they say ignore that. It's not true. You're automatically qualified. Just show proof of residency and proof of your income, i.e., W-2s or tax returns, and that's all they require. And we got our notices right on our cards and information right on time. So something is a little bit fishy there. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, I don't know if it's fishy. He may have just fallen through the cracks. Yeah, I don't want to put it in that perspective. But there could be a missing piece or something that we're not aware of.
That's true.
You know, we don't know what happened. But the fact of it is, if he feels confident that he had a professional who knew what he was doing look into it, then there's not much else you can say about it. So,
well, all I know is that you're required to have health insurance under federal law, so.
Well, speaking of requirements, I want to remind everybody to please remember that the opinions expressed on this or any other KPFC program are the opinions of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of KPFC, LCCR, its members, staff, or supporters. These are the opinions and views of the speakers only.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I know we want to talk briefly about City Council Clear Lake, but I got two little news items let's like to quickly talk about.
I'm not in any rush.
Okay. I've had this on my notes here for the last couple of weeks, but our shows have been consumed by other conversations. For those of you who hate the one percenters, the big corporate world again, Bank of America, gee, what a shock, is under investigation again. It appears that they've been dabbling in foreign currency exchange in a fraudulent manner, where they're now facing $6 billion in legal fees and fines. And that's just as of a couple of weeks ago. They are still being investigated. And what they're doing is they're massaging and manipulating the exchange rates on the open market so they can generate additional profit, plus their margins that they charge their customers have been excessive.
Who is this again?
Bank of America.
Oh, our favorite. Oh, by the way, there's another lawsuit going on with them. People can contact, I think, Robert Somerton regarding that.
Right.
He's taking stories of anyone who lost their home through Countrywide or any of the Bank of America subsidiaries so that they can have a class action lawsuit against them for illegally taking homes through robo-signing and
Right.
other illegal means that these banks have been doing. And he's the one that actually sued the Lakeport Bank
Right.
of America for charging him with trespassing because he wanted to come in and make his mortgage payment. And they were having disputes on the payments.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, I know it
Well,
happened,
yeah.
but just...
Well, just shows you what you're dealing with, and that's why I say boycott all the big banks and put your money into a credit union here locally, a local savings bank, or any other kind of financial institution that hasn't got an international or even a national base,
Right.
basically.
As long as they're FDIC insured.
Exactly, and I don't think there's many institutions out there these days that
No,
are
it's
not,
not.
FDIC insured,
Right, so. Okay, here's another, I think it's an unusual story because I didn't know this was capable of happening under our legal system. Argentina, yes, the country down south, has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to hear a case regarding their default of $80 billion that they had offered to pay basically on investments they owe to their citizens. And they want to sell it for 25 cents on the dollar to the investors. But the investors don't like that. So instead of Argentina as the country saying, okay, you invested $1, I'm going to give you 25 cents back, the investor said, no way, Jose. So now the United States Supreme Court is going to hear this, which I'm not sure what jurisdiction our Supreme Court has over other countries.
Actually, I found out recently that they can do a lot. There was another case with Chevron where I think it was the country of Ecuador, had sued them for poisoning and polluting the Amazon river area where these indigenous tribes were. They won in the court in Ecuador. That's where they were based. But then Chevron took it to the court here, and the court here overturned the ruling
I
in
guess because
appeals.
Chevron must be a U.S.-based corporation.
Right, but what jurisdiction do they have over the government of another country?
Well, they don't, but
It's crazy.
obviously they do. So it's kind of weird. I just thought that was
That is
somewhat
very
different. So I guess one country can take another.
We're the cops of the world, as
Well, what happened
Phil
to-
Oakes used to say.
No, I thought we had a world court system that heard this type of stuff.
Sometimes.
That shows my naivety when it comes to law. Let's see what else. Okay, here's some good news. The Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America has $10 billion in funding, and guess from whom? Bank of America.
Who is it?
The Neighborhood Assistance
Oh,
Corporation has
okay.
gotten $10 billion funding from the Bank of America to make loans on its own terms over the next decade.
Oh, my God.
It does not require down payments. It does not consult credit scores. Its loans all carry interest rates below 4% as of today. So those of you who are looking for home loans who do not have large deposits or may have some iffy credit history, I would go online and maybe look up how to contact the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America and see what you can find out. And I'll try to do a little bit more research as I go along. I've been a little bit busy lately, that time of year. So, but it's kind of interesting that they actually.
Oh, I think it is too.
And what this is, folks, and I'm trying to put a good slant on this story, not a bad slant. But what this is basically, I hate to say it, subprime lending again, which could be good and it could be bad.
Oh, you think it's going to end up to be that way?
That's exactly what it is.
Ay, ay, ay.
So, and maybe in a different format or different characteristics of it, but it is definitely subprime, even though the interest rates don't reflect subprime. So, anyway, folks, anybody needs mortgages, look them up. You never know; things could work out on that one. So, and last but not least of all my stories today.
Well, hold on. We have a caller.
Okay.
Hello, you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air. Did we lose you? Guess we lost you.
I'm sorry. Please call back. I didn't mean to be long-winded.
Yes, you're so
I know.
long-winded.
Anyway, in Congress right now, there are several bills being discussed and proposed, all affecting our tax laws. And those of you who care about how much taxes you pay, you may want to start paying attention to this stuff. You can go to the Thomas Congressional Database and look up all the proposed bills and legislation. But what they're trying to do right now is totally revamp our tax laws and try to make it more simplified. I know we've heard that before, though. But one of the current plans right now is they want to make it, quote unquote, easier on middle class people. And they're going to want to put a 10% surcharge on all income that exceeds $450,000. So if your earnings are more than $450,000, they want to charge an extra 10% tax on that.
Oh, poor babies.
Poor babies. I
what
know.
was that other gentleman called it? A rich problem.
Yeah, except here's the problem. You should see all the industries that are exempt from it.
Oh, see, that's what they do.
Corporate
personhood.
Food industries and all that. I mean, so you got to read between the lines in all these bills. I do know, though, that they do want to simplify it. They're trying to lower the tax brackets on individuals and also on corporations. I agree. I think there should be different tax brackets for different size corporations. I think if you have your own business, you're incorporated, that you should have a smaller tax bracket if your sales or profitability is below a certain amount. And then if you're one of the big boys like Enron or some of the major international companies, that they should have a different tax bracket, because $1 billion to them is nothing.
Excuse me, here's the deal. If you make billions of dollars of profits, you shouldn't be getting any tax breaks, period. If you're making profits, period. Why are they getting tax breaks?
Well, they're not seeing tax breaks. They just have different levels of taxable income. And I think the big boys should pay at a higher tax bracket than the small boys. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Well, I just think that these guys shouldn't get any breaks, period.
So you're talking about a small business owner who barely can keep his doors open.
No, that person should get a break, but
Thank
not
you.
the big
That's
corporations is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I'm not arguing with you.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So
I hate to see the breaks these guys get.
anyway, we must be boring people. The phones are quiet tonight.
Actually, they've been busy since we got on the air.
Wow.
We've had calls, and usually we don't get any calls during our first half hour, because normally we don't take calls during the first half
All
hour.
right. Well, we got about 15 minutes before Mr. Brosnan
Yeah,
shows
so
up.
you have another subject?
Yeah, let's talk about Clear Lake again
Okay, they're having their city council meeting.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Having problems
I know.
posting stuff. Anyway, they're having their meeting tomorrow, 6 p.m., and they're going to be discussing the putting a road tax on the November ballot. And there's a choice between making it a general tax, in which case the Clear Lake Police Department and other agencies will be able to benefit from it. And I think 40% or 60% goes to the Clear Lake PD, and then the 40% would go to the roads. And this is basically a regurgitation of Prop P, which was the tax that was put on for raising money for the police department. And so that's the general tax, and then they can make it a specific tax, but they're not quite sure how they're going to word it yet. We're hoping that they'll just make it a road tax and leave code enforcement out of it. They do want to re-energize the, what is the name of that criminal division of the police force? The crime suppression unit, and some of that money would go towards that, which I think is a good thing. I also think that there's plenty of money within the city budget right at the moment, considering how they've wasted almost $100,000 this year on boondoggles and foolishness. But in addition to that, by cutting back on different health care packages and benefit packages, they certainly could come up with at least 2 salaries for code enforcement. Right. And code enforcement, theoretically, is supposed to pay for its own salaries through fines and fees and everything else. So, they just need to rethink this thing in a way that is going to be self-sufficient and sustaining, instead of just taxing the people over and over without any consideration.
Well, I think we have not informed our listeners about what happened, though, last Thursday that occurred after our last show.
The fact that they realized that they
meeting.
couldn't put it on the June ballot.
Right. They had a special meeting last Thursday. I think it was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was a meeting that basically the city manager stated, after consulting with their attorney, I believe, that the general sales tax that council had agreed to put on the June ballot violated state law. And because you cannot put a general sales tax on the June ballot because there was no city elections taking place in June. So they realized their mistake or their error, and they had a special meeting. They realized that they were wrong, and then they put it on the agenda for this Thursday, i.e. tomorrow, to then vote on the general sales tax or road tax or code enforcement tax to be put on the November ballot when there are city elections taking place. So, if you want to know more about the legality of it, you can call the city attorney or call the city itself. But that's why this is being agendized for tomorrow. So, anyway, you folks have heard my opinion about the sales tax over there anyway, so I'm not going to bother boring you folks anymore with that. But I just believe that before we continue taxing any more monies to the citizens, that they should just take a hard look at their budget and their spending habits and see if they can find money somewhere else instead of continually taxing the public. So, all right. So what else you got, kid?
I have too many things that I can even get into, but I think we have somebody here.
Right.
Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
There is a danger that we will end up having more candidates than voters.
That's possible around here.
Yeah, that's unfortunately what I'm worried about that. We have to make some concentrated effort to bring the Lake County bush people out of the bushes and register them and allow them to express their opinions, which they will once they see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I wonder how is it doing as far as the registration of new fresh voters for
People
the
are
cause.
registering.
Excuse me?
People are registering.
Oh yeah. How do you just can you go to the registrar's office and get the forms for people to register by, or how?
Yes, you can do that. You have to sign them out, agree to a certain number of forms so that, if anybody wants to come looking for them, they know where to find them. But basically, it's a simple process, and you can get them at the post office. You can get them at the county offices. You can get them from a lot of different places. We have them at our office actually in Lower Lake. Yeah.
That's another thing I need to ask you. When is going to be the next meeting of the force to be, which is operating and getting ready to. I mean, you are a member of that organization. I don't even. Yeah,
there's several organizations under the umbrella of the Emerald Unity Committee or Coalition, and they have the Green Farmers who have been meeting up in Upper Lake every other Wednesday, I believe it is, or Thursday. I think it's back to Thursdays now. And then the PRC, which is a Patients' Rights Committee, is meeting every other Tuesday at our offices in Lower Lake, and they just had that meeting last night. I think you should be connected on the Facebook page. That's where the events are being posted.
Okay.
So, keep in touch with that.
Yeah, I have to take a hammer to my computer.
Well, that would be a problem. All right.
Yeah. The other thing is, what kind of a God-given law are we under now? I mean, meaning the gods in Lakeport. What ordinance is valid, if any?
Yes,
right?
The current ordinance that the county is enforcing at the moment is the emergency ordinance that came into effect last year. And that is in effect until the end of June, I believe.
But that has not, but the gentleman said Lakeport, so Lakeport has its own ordinance.
Still has a complete ban on any growing, so.
No, I meant in general in the county.
In Lake County, yes, that's what's happening.
That's where our gods reside.
Yeah, we are in the county's current urgency ordinance. Okay.
So that means nothing and more of nothing. Nothing
it means
doing.
6 plants, and just all the same until June. Then in June, it's extremely important for everyone to vote no, so that the opportunity for a reasonable ordinance can be presented on the November ballot, which is what we'd like to see.
Right. So it's basically the slogan would be no on N, right?
That is the slogan, and there's actually going to be a website called noonmeasuren.org, I believe it is, or .com. And
what about the bumper stickers or window stickers? Are there any?
Yeah, there's some plans in the works for some small 8.5 by 11s to put in people's windows, so in their cars. So if anybody wants them, they can check us out in Lower Lake.
Yeah. Well, I'm willing to buy them, So, but I need to. I guess it would be when they are ready. It would be coming out of your office.
Yes, and if anybody is interested in getting involved in the organization, there's going to be phone banking where people will be educating people as to the current ordinance, the one that will be up on June, and the possible new one's points. And so we need some volunteers to get on the phones there. There's also tabling where they're trying to get people to register to vote, so people can volunteer to go and sit outside of a grocery store maybe and get people to sign up.
Yeah, that's a great idea also.
So there's a great need for helpers to do that kind of work.
Yeah. Well, I'm signing up as of today.
Okay, and that's great. And anybody that wants to get involved can go to the Facebook page, the Patients' Rights Committee, and it's an open group, so they can be added to that.
But that's, again, I have to know, well, you say it would be available on your website, so I don't have to bother you with getting...
well, if you need to get in the group, I can add you because we're Facebook friends.
Okay, please do.
I will.
You?
Thank you. I thought you were already there, but I'll make sure.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Belong anywhere. All right, then. Thank you very much, Jerry.
Sure, thank you, Mills.
Bye.
Take care. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello, I misplaced your phone number because I had some questions regarding the Clear Lake PD, and I don't want to throw some things out on the air till I'm clear on what is what.
Okay.
And one of them is that half of the force is out on disability.
Yeah, there's some big problems with Clear Lake PD as far as expenditures. There's been a lot of rumors about them taking excessive overtime and keeping the numbers of employees to a minimum so they can maximize the amount of overtime that goes back to the officers and certain people on disability and stuff like that. I'm sure there are injuries, but, it's like...
And I haven't seen this level of dysfunction since Bob Chalk was in charge. And I see Clausen as the same as Bob Chalk, unless I'm proven otherwise.
Right. I have not had experiences with Mr. Chalk, so I can't respond to that.
So
but
I haven't seen this level of corruption. And the only time it cleaned up is when this man he was actually from Monte Sereno. I believe his name was Larry Todd. Todd, and he was an interim chief of police. He was here approximately 2008 or 2009 through approximately, that's what I don't know, I forgot, 2010, 11,
I know
12.
who you're talking about, but I didn't think his name was Todd. I thought he had a different name, but I know who you're talking about.
I thought his name was Larry Todd.
Tall, dark-haired guy with a mustache.
I never saw him. I just heard the name only, and he was there approximately 5 years or less.
Yeah, he left when Joey Lewis and Jerry Spittler were elected to the council. That was the same year that he left, which was 2010.
Oh, 2010. I had forgotten which year. And then I saw the same level of corruption. I'm just sensing the same. It just reverted back to what was happening during the Bob Chalk days.
Yeah, again, I can't comment to that, but I do know that they have their issues now, and there definitely need to be some kind of cleanup over there, I think. It just needs to be done.
And one of the main things would be regular patrol. They could have, lower level people just doing routine patrol.
Well, I thought that's what their volunteer police were supposed to be doing.
They never come out to the avenues, as far as I can tell.
No one ever goes to the avenues. Sorry.
That's a maze.
Yeah. Why it's the way it is.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but...
Okay, you're up against the hour.
Yeah, we're up against the hour. We got a guest coming in, so we got to take a break. But thank you for your call, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye. All righty. So we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll have our guest John Brosnan joining us. And we just want to take a little musical interlude. I don't even know if I have anything queued up.
Oh, nice.
I don't. So let me get something queued up.
You want me to start singing?
I just want you to fill some air.
Oh, sorry. You tell me to always be quiet, though.
No, I don't.
Remember, you control what my...
Well, don't make that sound like it's real, please. By the way, I want to say a big hello to all the haters out there. We know you're listening.
I was trying to avoid that.
And we're so happy you're there. No, they're doing great wonders for our ratings. I have no problem with that.
Anyway, as of the end of February, which I think is approximately 2 months that Colorado had its new cannabis laws, the state coffers have increased by $3.5 million. Wow. Can you imagine what we can do with $3.5 million?
In the state. That's a drop in the bucket
just for 2 months.
The state. If they gave that to us, though, we could do a heck of a lot.
Well, imagine if county passed a tax on marijuana.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah, Colorado's kicking butt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. I wanted to talk you off the air when you can do the song, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, I can do the song. But
well, I just want to let you know I'd like to be scheduled for an interview.
Jim,
of course,
you're on
absolutely.
our list.
You're on the list.
Jim, you are on our list. Don't worry. We just haven't had a chance to get in touch with the people that we want to interview, but we will be contacting you this week to set up an actual time.
Okay, great.
And we're happy to hear that you're running. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race.
Another aspect to the race.
Making it interesting and making sure that people's voice are heard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you had a very interesting show yesterday. I don't know if people caught it or really paid attention to it, but I had to do a lot of driving around doing errands yesterday afternoon. I caught most of your show. It was very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, look at that treaty again. The, Trans-Pacific Treaty that's going to be, given away all to the corporations.
Yep.
I know.
Their rights. And I mean,
We are in such trouble.
And not to get off subject here, but is that your wife that's your co-host?
yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I'm still getting caught up with the names and faces in Lake County here. So that was your wife. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
That is his wife. She's
So you-
still around.
We kind of share the same. She keeps me going like Terry keeps you going.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I
can
know. I
relate.
love you too. It's so awesome listening to you.
Yeah,
I feel so
maybe we need to have a
comfortable.
cup of coffee and discuss this thing.
Yes. Well, it's
right.
40 years with us. So.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
God bless
that's great.
you. That's wonderful.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Take
Bye-bye.
care. All righty, I got one.
Thank you, because I need to take a break.
I know. All those years are paying off, huh? Okay,
Yes.
let's see.
So what are we listening to?
Clan Dyken.
Oh, Clint Hyken. I haven't heard that for a while.
Yeah. And this one's called Pay the Fiddler. We'll be back. You're listening to KPFZ 88.1 FM in Lakeport and all around the lake.
About that beast apathy that sleeps in all of us sometimes. Crisis situation! In this life, what precious bits of time drift past as we fight to stand against the current, pushed ever nearer to the falls. So many people floating downstream, complacent, mesmerized by the snake-eye TV screen. Running their squirrel cages, unwittingly financing global disaster. Who's driving this cattle cart anyway? And where's it bound? Long as the feed holds out, no one's asking. Yeah, we're living in suburbia. So they walk in silent numbers, living in suburban slumber, with no joy, with no sorrow. Life will come to them tomorrow. You can hear them chime. I'm doing fine. I've got mine. I've got mine. Somewhere just around the corner, you start to feel a little warmer. Smell the smoke of the fire, and now the flames are burning higher. Yet still they walk in silent numbers, living in suburban slumber. Who could guess what great power might come some unexpected hour? You know what I mean. Wake up from the American dream. And what have you seen? Have you seen? Is there something I could say? Freedom! We use it or we lose it. It needs no defense. Security is just a word we've been trading our children's tomorrows for. Outside of the infinite soul, there's no such thing as security. Courage! to say the emperor's naked, to lay your life upon the line, to stand and sing unarmed. So wake ye up, suburban sleepers, for every man's his brother's keeper. And if we shall survive the weather, we must now come pull together. See to the times.
Leave guilt behind. Free humankind.
Humankind.
Yeah, pay the fiddler, baby, because sooner or later you're going to have to pay that fiddler.
Pay the price.
That's right.
Been there, done that. Thank you.
Too many times.
Yes.
Thank you. And still paying.
Always. That's
Can
my-
never get away from it.
It's my stunning personality that people just are jealous of, so they have to be.
Your good looks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Your
yeah.
rugged good looks.
Yeah, me and Sam.
You and Sam Elliott.
That's right.
Welcome back to Lake County Magazine.
We're back.
I don't think we have anybody on the line. I'm going to double check because I see that I left the line on, but I think it was just left from when Jim was on. Hello, is anybody there? No. So, welcome back. This is the second hour of Lake County Magazine here on KPFZ, your local community radio station. And I'm turning your mics down so you can talk to each other without going over the air. So we want to welcome John Brosnan, candidate for District 3, to the show. Hey, John, how you doing?
Good morning, Terry. I'm doing good.
Can you tip your mic down just a little bit?
How's that?
Hopefully it'll be
And
better.
if you turn the
How about
mics up
that?
now.
Yeah, I can't hear me at all.
Okay, there
There
you
you
are.
go.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Well, they have the mic switch around. That should be mic 3, and it's actually mic 4. Shame, shame.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
I can't hear me.
I can hear you.
That's probably best.
Okay. Well, notice we do these things on purpose. We want to make the interview a very light, fun, eventful conversation,
adventure
and not
that
a
you shouldn't
boring,
be-
straight question
That's
and
right.
answer thing. So have fun, okay?
I'll try.
Thank you.
Don't be nervous.
Nervous? Okay. So, you want to just get into it?
Yeah, I want you to get into it. I know you're guiding this
I'm always the guide. I know. It's my
this
spirit.
venture. I just throw my 2 cents in when it's appropriate.
Fair enough. Okay, we have Mr. John Brosnan. How are you, sir?
Okay. so
All right. By the way, folks, just for full disclosure, Mr. Brosnan and I have known each other now for just about a year, and I consider him a friend, so I want to disclose that up front, that we do have a friendship. But politics is politics.
That's right.
And so we're going to get into it. So I have some basic questions that I'm asking all of the candidates. Doesn't matter what they're running for, but all the candidates. So I'm going to start off with the basic ones, which I asked Mr. Steele off the air, which I have to provide those answers to later on. But the first question is, have you received any endorsements from anybody?
No,
Are you actually seeking endorsements from anybody?
not really. I am going on interviews when I'm asked to go on interviews and answering the questions to the best of my ability.
Right, but you're not out there soliciting, are you?
No.
No, I didn't think so. You don't strike the type. You're too straightforward, I think. Cool. Okay. And the next question is, how are you raising campaign funds?
Well, I haven't started to raise campaign funds yet, but I do have some people interested in supporting my efforts in running for supervisor, District 3 in Lake County. And so I'm approaching those people, and
Okay.
hopefully I'll raise enough money to get a sign or two.
Excellent. So, but you're right now, based on my limited knowledge, you don't actually have any kickoff parties or any campaign fundraising parties scheduled or anything like that, do you?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Do you plan on it? Do you plan on it?
I don't have a campaign manager. I don't have a team. I have people that support me, and my girlfriend has a beauty salon shop, and she says that there's people that want to support me, and I'm just really trying to look at the overall picture here. I came here, about 8-10 years ago, and I was always talking about what's going on here, how it's going on. It became intuitively obvious to me that there was a certain type of pulse or a certain type of environment here both politically and agriculturally and in every way. And I used to always comment on it, and people used to always tell me, look, why don't you get involved in politics? And I never really took it serious, but when Denise Rushing threw her towel in, I decided that, well, maybe this was an opportunity to move forward.
Well, at the beginning of the show today, I actually made a comment, which I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I made it anyway, that you were a different type of candidate. I didn't mean that politically in your mission or what you're trying to accomplish, but just your approach to this election. Mm-hmm. You're not campaigning per se out there. You're not having fundraising parties. You're not on every single radio show and every media opportunity out there. You are just doing your own thing.
I am. And I guess if you were going to step back and analyze it, which I really haven't, but now that you mentioned it, I've been supporting other people's campaigns. So,
let's not go down that road. That may not be very helpful.
Well, but I do that in a way because I believe that, politics is politics, and there's a candidate that's constantly talking about the devil in the details, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it's like, politics has come to a point where there's this two-party system, a third party and a fourth party and a fifth party have been trying to merge into this system to try to create some sort of balance. But what I have found is that when the party system, the individual loses the individual's voice. And the irony is that at the end of the day, after everything is said and done, somebody in these party line affiliations who graduate up in the classes end up as senators, as congressmen, as presidents, and then all the people in the party members complain about who's in the office, whether they're Republican or Democrat, but those people of the party move them up in this escalating scale to get there. And I think that's because people have lost their sense of individual vote. And I think that that's basically what's going on, not only locally, but with the nation, that people have lost their voice. And that's what I don't want to lose, is my voice.
John, I wanted to find out what you have a voice, obviously. I mean, you've been very good about letting your opinions be known at supervisor meetings and other public gatherings. So when you found out that Denise wasn't going to run again, what was your main motivation for putting yourself on the line? Because any candidate in Lake County puts themselves subject to a massive amount of abuse and deflection, discreditation, all kinds of negative aspects of a campaign. That hasn't happened so much in the District 3 race, but those people that support a certain side of the political thinking here in the county just naturally gravitate to attack those who they may have thoughts that are different. So what made you really want to put yourself out on the line for the people of Lake County?
Well, first of all, I think to answer that question specifically, I would have to look back at what type of personality I am and what I've done since I've been here. And I don't think that I've stood still long enough to consider anybody's opinion of me as being detrimental. I mean, I'm pretty straightforward, pretty honest. I'm pretty open book. I don't really conceal or hide anything, so that anytime anybody brings anything up that's derogatory about me, like, I'm on Facebook, and there's stuff on Facebook, and there's the blog, which I never ever visit, but I hear a lot about. And so I guess in answering your question is like, anybody could take a shot at me, and they have a right to do so, but I always remember taking a shot back, it doesn't accomplish anything, and that's basically my politics. Why go down that road of trying to undermine and discredit somebody when their actions and who they are pretty much explains it already? I don't need to attack anybody, and if someone feels the need to attack me, then I don't really pay too much attention. I'm pretty much transparent, I guess is the word they're using today. People talk about transparency.
Yes, that's the new key word in politics.
So I don't really have much to hide, basically. I don't have anything to hide, quite frankly. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I don't know if I did.
I'd really like to know how you feel like you're going to be able to impact the people of this county. What makes you stand out above the other candidates, since there are so many?
Well, that's another good question, right? I would say that what differentiates me, I don't know if it makes me stand out, but what differentiates me from the other candidates is I believe that there's an issue that really hasn't been addressed here in terms of creating an eco-tourist or an agri-tourist or a tourist destination spot, which is what everybody wants this to become again, which is good for the economy and good for the community. And there's an issue that I don't think that's really been fully addressed, and that is the issue of homelessness, the issue of drug and alcohol addictions, the issue of poverty level living lifestyle that creates and contributes to crime. And so I think that that's really a big issue, as big as the lake, as big as the watershed, as big as agriculture, as big as the diversity of agriculture. This really needs to be a balanced campaign, and I've always believed that win or lose, the idea is, you hear everybody saying, do you think you can win? Do you think you can win? And it's like, well, everybody wants to be a winner, right? I mean, who wants to be a loser? Nobody wants to be a loser, but the facts are there can only be one winner. So that means there's a whole lot of what they have called losers out there, right? So what I'm trying to say is that we're not a loser. We're all here trying to I am here trying to put my best foot forward in contributing, representing the lost voices, the lost people here, because the ag people have a voice, they have lobbyists, they have what they have. The lake has their voices. Everybody has a voice here, but 40%, and there's a lot of people, 30 to 40%, that don't have any representation all around this lake, and including District 3. So I think that if we can shine a light on that area, those issues, I think it would really, really help move Lake County forward in the 21st century to creating this agricultural destination spot that everybody really wants. I don't know if that answers your question, but
that sounds good to me. No, seriously,
Okay.
I think you did.
That was great. Thank you.
Okay. On that note, we'll get into some of the issues that everyone obviously wants to hear about. It's been readdressed multiple times on all the different shows, but I still think you're a little bit different than the other candidates. I just do. That's a personal opinion, folks. A lot of candidates, and I'm just speaking in general terms now, not individuals here, like to state what they're going to do for the county or for your district. They come across like they know everything about all the subjects. And I don't know about you, but I don't know dilly squat about most of the subjects personally. I just don't have that expertise. What I do know, I think I know pretty well. So my question to you is, what do you feel, and this sounds like a silly question, but what are your strengths? What do you feel are the issues that you think you can absolutely do something about based on your experience and knowledge?
Okay. My strengths, and I believe that the issues at hand here in the lake, I believe first a supervisor is a representative, okay? Representing a district, which means representing a group of people, but keeping in mind the 5 districts and the county as a whole. I believe that as a supervisor, you have an administration. That administration is there to help guide and create the environment we have here socially, economically, in our budget to move forward with all the districts. So as a supervisor, I would be more inclined to lean towards getting advice, seeking advice, using the agencies that are already up and on board, as opposed to me pretending that I am the missing ingredient that you all need to make this thing work. I think that if I am a missing ingredient, the ingredient that I bring to the table, I think, is acknowledging and recognizing the current administration, the current players, for the value and the contributions that they've already made working towards cleaning this lake up, working towards creating a more unified district and getting things moving down the road. So I would think utilizing the sources, the resources that are here is really a big part of being a supervisor and a representative.
Okay, so you're saying that you believe that your administrative skills and your listening skills will give you an opportunity of actually providing, getting the necessary input from other experts.
Yeah, I believe that's probably the best way to go about it, because I don't think any one person can be the answer.
Well, without sounding a cliche, is a good leader surrounds himself with better people. So, is that what you're saying? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
I think you have to work in conjunction with other people if you want to create a society. You can't work alone. You have to work together.
All right. Speaking of working together, what is your approach, or how do you think you can work with the current county supervisors that are going to be staying in office until their election comes up in another couple of years? I mean, there's some very distinct personalities on the board right now.
Yes, there are.
And I'm not saying that in a negative or positive way. They are very distinct personalities, and some can be extremely stubborn at times on certain issues. Mm-hmm. Some have their own goals to achieve as supervisors, hopefully for the good of the public. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel you can work with those type of personalities?
Well, obviously, it'll be dependent upon whether they want to be able to work with me, right? I mean, I'm willing to work with anybody. I know to a degree. I've interacted to a degree with the supervisors here, not extensively, but enough to know their personality types and enough to know their positions on certain issues, and enough to know that my position is not to try to persuade anybody into anything except to be able to provide information, and then maybe with that information, with my perspective, be able to maybe shed some light or a different perspective so that they might be able to recognize that certain doors should not be slammed shut, and an open-minded policy probably might be the best way to move forward, to get us off this rut we're in. I mean, this county, I've only been here 10 years, but this county seems to go one step forward, two back, 3 steps forward, 2 back. I mean, eventually we're a foot forward when we could be a lot more forward, more, I guess, not to use the word, but to use it anyway, progressively, to move progressively forward. I mean, to be a progressive liberal or whatever you want to call it, well, it means to progressively move forward. I mean, if you can't move forward, you're not going to be able to withstand the current climate, the political climate that's happening nationwide. We're kind of in a stuck mode here. We just can't seem to shed some old ideas that really haven't benefited the county. And so I think that there's some old ideas in play here. And one of them, I think, is the fear syndrome of that we have to hold on to our position, our old ideas, so that we don't lose focus. And I think that that's kind of an operational tool that doesn't really work effectively when you really we're considering that we have a whole entire community and a group of people that have to be represented here.
Do you think there's a fear of success here? A fear of change?
I think there's a fear of loss of control. I think there's a control issue here, trying to control the environment. Nobody wants to talk about cannabis. I mean, it's kind of a very off the subject topic, but that's kind of how I got my first involvement here, showing up at the supervisor's office by representing a group a couple of years ago, and how I ended up in that position is another story entirely. But I believe that there's certain ideas, like for this ordinance they have now. I don't believe that the ordinance, and I've told this to the supervisors at the fairground meeting, is that I'm in support of an ordinance, and I am hugely in favor of controlling this cannabis thing that's been happening here. But the ordinance that they have in place, I don't believe will give them the desired results that they're looking for. And I really am for creating an environment here at all industries, all agricultural industries, which even though it's not recognized as an agricultural formally, I believe it's a crop that will bring prodigious results in 2016, when I believe that they're going to probably make it legal. And so I think that that's an issue that we need to look at and make it an issue that's fair and impartial and provides the best care for everybody. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
But now that you have the current ordinance that's going to be on the ballot in June, I'm assuming that you're not in favor of that ordinance, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Only because, and I'm not in favor of it because I do not believe it will assist the current administration, the current sheriff's department, law enforcement.
Right.
I don't really think it's overall meant to really take into consideration of the results that we're trying to get.
Right, and it's not a sustainable ordinance either. There's no way for them to pay for what they want to do.
Right.
Built into the ordinance. Now,
Right.
We heard a rumor that there actually is a draft of the next ordinance that could be put on the November ballot.
I got a copy in the email the other night.
Okay, would you like to give us some of the high points of it?
Well, actually, I just got it last night. I didn't open it up till this morning, before I got here, and I just browsed through it real quickly. But it has provisions in there for the funds to monitor the growth element, and so it wouldn't be an economic strain on the current administration here. So it talks about plant count, but it's not really in stone yet. You have to remember this is just a matrix, and it's not really the initiative or ordinance that's going to go before the November ballot. But I can tell you that it's you want the plant count or what? What do you want first? I mean, how do you want me to approach this?
I just want to tell people what's different between what they could be voting on in June and what could be presented in November.
Okay. Well, what they're voting on in June, do you want to give them an idea of what they?
Yeah, right now it's 0 plants in any community growth area. That's areas that are designated by the county to be populated areas in the near future, and I believe that is pretty extensive areas. And they say 0 plants within any of those areas. They say up to 6 plants anywhere of an acre of land or more outside of community growth areas.
Ag land.
Well, no, the 20 plants is exclusively on ag land, but I believe with RR they can also do the 6 plants to the 20 up to 20 acres. But I've heard conflicting reports on that, so perhaps someone can clarify. But in addition, the sheriff department would have the right to enter anybody's home without a warrant on the second warning after they've been given a warning by code enforcement. Sheriffs can come back to inspect. That means going in your home to check for your indoor count, which is limited to 10 by 10 space or 100 square feet. Is all they're allowing with one light at, I think, 1,200 watts. And I'm just pulling this off the top of my head, so that's some of the main points that I know about.
Well, I think the main point is that those who are trying to grow their own medicine are basically going to be unable to do so.
Exactly. The small mom and pop people are eliminated completely from growing in their backyards.
Yeah. Well, this particular matrix, it starts off with the initiative will read, maybe, they're not quite certain of these numbers, but 6 plants for residential areas.
Within state recommendations.
Right, with 420 and 215 recommendations. Right. And then 5 acres or more, 18. And then, I think it's 5 to 20 acres, 48. And then from 20 acres on, 72.
Oh, really? They go that high?
Yeah, they're hitting some.
Well, I know they're anticipating the commercial value of it in the future because we are going to be legalized for recreational and medicinal probably within the next 2 years, according to how I would say the country's going. Yeah, the trend is.
Was there any zoning restrictions involved in that ordinance?
I didn't really.
Well, it is a zoning ordinance.
It is a zoning ordinance.
No, I know, but you know what I mean.
I didn't really, like I said, I didn't have a chance to glean all the way through it, but it did mention something about a fee. I believe it was $50 a plant.
That's for the people who want to grow in a collective environment.
Right. Yeah. Not for the people that have residential.
Right.
There's no fees for them.
Right.
Anything over 6 plants, I think you have a fee.
Right.
And then that pays for the administration overlooking everything and having some.
Yeah, and it allows an income stream to pay for enforcement, and then enforcement would be handled through a special enforcement team that would be a part of the code enforcement?
Well, you know what? Is there some language to that? But I don't want to go any further because I don't want to misquote.
No, this is just some of the stuff that I know they've been mulling around, so I'm figuring it's probably in there right now in the matrix.
Yeah, there's something in there. They're also taking away that they need to be able to have if there's anybody found in violation, they need to follow through the procedures that don't really have anything to do with leaning your property or taking your property or arresting you. It's just trying to make it not even a misdemeanor. It's just a code violation and moving forward. But
in the current one, the misdemeanors actually could be grounds for seizure of your property and forfeiture. Yeah. So that to me is very unfair. That if someone's growing a little plant in their backyard, they could lose their home. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think the jails need any more criminals in them.
But in all honesty, Terry, I don't think that's really, the issue at hand. I don't believe that really, the bottom line is that I'm really not, I have to really get into the meat of the ordinance that's currently been coming up in June to determine whether or not that it would put somebody in jeopardy for having a plant. I don't think it really goes down that path. It's really designed, I think, to get the big grows and to go after the illegal grows. No
See,
recommendations.
I don't agree with that.
I
at
know
all.
you don't, but see,
because if it says 0 plants and you've got plants,
Yeah, but I
then
haven't
you're in
read it
violation.
thoroughly. I
Well,
know.
I have.
Okay.
I'm just
Well, I
telling you what
haven't.
I've read says that if you have 0 plants, then you'll get a first warning from code enforcement. You're not mandatory misdemeanor, but it can lead to a misdemeanor if it's not abated within the certain 5 days you have to respond.
Yeah, I understand
Okay,
that.
so they give you a very short turnaround time, and you're talking about people's medicine. So they're saying 0 plants in those community growth areas. So anyone that's growing their plants, let's say they got 6 plants, according to what the state can say, theoretically, the county can give them a misdemeanor and can take their property. So,
I guess in theory, if they wanted to, if the administration wanted to spend
Sure.
the cost and all the money
That's
to
the
go
way
after
it's
some-
written.
yeah, but the likelihood of that is probably.
Are you ready to take phone calls?
Is that it?
No, I have a lot more
No,
questions.
but we have a caller.
The callers have
Yeah, but
questions
okay,
too.
well, let's make sure that we can move on to some of the other topics.
We're
I don't
going
want
to
get stuck
No,
on
no,
this
no.
cannabis thing.
I
Okay.
understand.
No, and this is not a discussion about cannabis.
Then I
So
brought it
any
up,
other
so I
callers
apologize. Yeah.
that want to
Okay.
discuss that issue, I ask them to hold those questions till later. Hello, you're on the air.
That was me. I'm about to make a statement about how we have a autonomous right to self-determination, and if you have within the required amount of land to grow X amount, and you have extra, you're supposed to be able to go to the dispensary like every other county in the state.
But this
And
isn't.
that's what they're all spoiled with all the wine money, like a kid having candy under their bed. How they
Okay,
supposed to help appetite?
Thank you, but we're off topic. We want to stay on
Okay,
John
yeah,
Brosman.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Bye. I got another one. Let me grab it real quick.
Okay.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, Phil.
I know that John is backing Brian Martin for sheriff. And,
No, you don't. You don't know that, Phil.
Well, I know you gave him $200.
Well, everybody knows that.
Well, that seems to be.
That doesn't mean I'm backing him or supporting him. It means that I contributed to his campaign as I did to Jerry Spitlers and Herb Gura and others. So it's just my way of leveling the playing field.
Well, did you give Frank $200?
Not yet. Frank is an incumbent. Frank has his own party line affiliation. Frank can move forward on his own merits or whatever he
Okay,
has.
let me just ask you a question here. Do you feel comfortable with Brian's statement that he doesn't feel that any sort of citizens review or oversight board is needed for the sheriff's department, and he apparently is not going to make himself accessible like Frank has by going on the radio every 2 weeks and giving out his personal cell phone number and his email address? Instead, Brian feels that the grand jury is capable of a proper level of oversight of the sheriff's department, in spite of the fact that the grand jury members are appointed by Brian's father. don't you find
Oh,
that
my goodness.
a little troubling?
Well, Phil, you know that I listen to you when you're on the show a lot, and you know that I listen to you when you're in the supervisory's board meetings, and I also am aware of your profound knowledge of what's going on here and your involvement in this community on all levels, and my hat's off to you on that. And your language this morning obviously is humorous, because you know what, this is part of the problem here of a nepotistic good old boy system. Okay, so the idea here is just to not, I guess, point fingers and try to tear people down. It's just to look at what's existing here and say, okay, what part of this aspect of, let's say, in this particular discussion is Brian Martin, I guess, obviously the topic here, and his relationship to his father. What particular aspect of the current situation is beneficial and what particular aspect is not? So just because Frank had his cell phone number on, and just because Frank said he would entertain an advisory committee, an oversight committee, doesn't mean that it actually happened. As far as I know, it didn't happen. And
No, it didn't happen.
Well, no, and it didn't happen, but I don't really honestly see the necessity for it, because, number one, the issues have not arisen like they did under the previous administration,
Correct.
where there was, incident after incident after incident of documented criminal behavior
Correct.
by the staff of Mr. Mitchell.
Screen
Everything
tests.
from drunk driving to stealing machine gun parts from the sheriff's armory.
How about the screen tests?
But let me comment on that, Phil, if I may. Just in general, having a sheriff run or any official run here uncontested for 16 years is to me is a red flag. It's a concern, which would indicate that there's some degree of control going on here or fear. So, one of the things that I noticed, I've traveled all over the world. I've been to places where I would land there, go there, and I'd see officers in military outfits with machine guns, and it would scare the hell out of me. Okay, and I'd feel it inside of me, deep inside. I wouldn't act afraid, but I would go like, "Oh man, this is not good." Well, there was certain things that I came here to Lake County I could feel that wasn't right. There's a certain air here that you won't find in other counties, and it's not because there's police presence, but because there's some sort of there was at the time that you're talking about, there was a kind of a fear that to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, we want to be recognized. There was some sort of fear here, and I'm not sure why. And that's kind of why I believe that, I support people to run for office. I'm not at all disappointed that there's 8 or 9 candidates running for supervisor of District 3.
But the problem I'm seeing here is that Brian Martin represents a return to the Mitchell regime. He worked very hard to try to get Mitchell reelected. And you talk about, military climate. Mitchell was the one that acquired 120 assault rifles for the sheriff's office, which is an astounding number considering they only have 64 sworn deputies.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that, Phil. I wasn't here, and I don't have privy to that information, whether it's true or not. But
I'm telling you that I know for a fact it is. He also acquired those 2 completely useless M113 armored personnel carriers, which I don't know what the hell's happened to them. They've never been used.
I think they got one. I think they got a new one, didn't they?
They got
a new used one. Got one they actually,
Cadillac.
You might be able to use because it's got wheels on it. You can actually drive it somewhere. You don't have to load it on a big rig to take it to the incident site.
Phil, I don't know. I mean, some of this we can find hilarious, right? But the other side of the coin is you got to look at the practicality of it. I mean, if you had these 2 other tanks with tracks and et cetera, and then someone offers them a free one with rubber tires. I don't know. To me, it sounds like in one respect, that's probably a better idea than running a tank around with tracks. I don't, how do you answer a question like that?
Well, it's very simple. None of those 120 assault rifles that Sheriff Mitchell acquired, none of them has ever been fired in the line of duty. And those tanks have never, or the APCs, those have never been used either. Now, maybe this thing that Frank is gotten from Sonoma, maybe that won't be used either, but at least you can make some kind of plausible case for it being practical to use in, some kind of hostage or standoff situation.
Right, and I can say this about your commentary then, Phil, and then that's the last thing you said, is that none of these things have been used, and that would be my focus. They have not been used, and that's really the end result here. It's like whether or not they get used and whether or not they're used appropriately in the right situation, it yet remains to be seen. But I would say that if I was a sheriff and I was running this county and I had to deal with a lot of these outlaw grows and these federal lands, and I would want to have some protection too. I wouldn't want to send my men out with single shot, and I'm not really versed on weaponry either. So whatever they need to defend themselves, I think it's good to have. Now, if they abuse that right and use those inappropriately, then we have another issue at hand.
Okay. Phil, let me interrupt you for a second, and let me see if I can reword your comments and your questions here, from my opinion. And these are kind of direct questions. Mm-hmm. Are you first of all, do you believe Mr. Martin will be his own man, or do you think he will follow the rulings that he worked under the Mitchell regime?
I think that Brian will want to be his own man. I think Brian, like the son of any successful father that precedes him, would also want to have some influence of what his father's input. I have a father who's very successful, and I am in the similar business, and I do appreciate following in the footsteps that have been proven to be successful, and I'm sure Brian feels the same way. But I am not endorsing Brian, nor am I endorsing...
That was my next question. You're not endorsing him.
Nor am I endorsing Frank, because I really don't... It's not the time yet for me to come out and make a commitment. But I believe.
John,
that,
wait a minute. You're running for public office.
Yes, I am.
You got to put your cards on the table here so people know what options they're being offered. If you are so indecisive or uninformed that you can't make a decision about basic things like who should be running the sheriff's department, I think you need to, do your homework and then come back when you have these things figured out instead of saying, well, I'll make my mind up later.
Okay.
We heard some of the same stuff from, oh gosh, my name's, I'm losing it here.
Breathe, Phil.
Oh God, the old guy who was on the planning commission. I'm having a brain fart here.
Marvin.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin Butler. Hey, I mean, he said the same thing. Well, gee, I haven't made up my mind about the sheriff's race.
I'm not so sure I like you associating me, comparing me to Marvin. But listen, okay, Phil, You alluded to my not having the capacity or the ability to make a decision. That's not what I said. I'm choosing at this moment not to air my decision.
No, I think it's a willingness problem. I mean, you have the capacity, John. I'm sure of that. It's the willingness to put the cards on the table and tell people, hey, look, this is my position.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, the reason I'm not being fervent on choosing a candidate for sheriff is because I really do like Brian Martin's approach, and I do like what he's representing. But at the same time, I'm also looking at what Frank has done and what he has not done. So it's really, you know what, you'll be hearing from me on my timeline, not yours, Phil, when I'm ready to make this commentary regarding the sheriff. I believe that we need to have a community where sheriffs don't get run for office unopposed, which is what Brian's doing. He's standing up and running against Rivero, and Rivero has the Democratic Party line behind him and endorsing him. So you know what? I'm just watching the game, okay? Because I really.
Well, right now you seem to be on the same side as Rob Brown because he's another big contributor to Brian's campaign.
What are you trying to say?
I don't think $200 is a big contributor.
I can't
Come on.
get with you on that one.
Okay, you got a ways to go because Rob's kicked in about $3,000 so far.
Right. Well, I don't see. Like I said, I went to high school too, and part of the problem in high school is that I was welcomed into every group. And I don't want to waste the airtime on this, but every time I got into these groups of people, because basically I like people, Phil, believe it or not. I like people, I like diversity, I like what every group offers. But when they start telling me I got to hate this other group or I can't look at the good aspects of this one group and be a part of their group, that's when I said, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. I think individuality is important. I think autonomy is important. And I think people should have a right and should be encouraged to look at all walks of life, all groups, and then when it comes down to the right time in the right place, make your decision count, and that's usually in the voting booth. But as a candidate for Supervisor District 3, you and other people who are in favor of Rivero, in favor of Martin, and in favor of Chalk have tried to get me to come out and put my endorsement or my support on one of these three people, and I'm just not at this moment ready. I've given enough information over the air on Facebook to indicate for any person who's astute, they can see which way I'm leaning, and then they can look into see if they want to lean that way. But I'm not here to lead people down a road for them to not be able to think for themselves.
Well, John, in my experience, I've never seen anyone contribute money to a political campaign and then vote against the candidate that they gave money to.
Well, you would never see that, Phil, because you never know who votes for who. That's why it's called a private voting booth. Okay, you never know, and to think that people are going to tell you the truth all the time about who they vote for is another high school type of mentality.
Okay, well, let us know when you've made a decision. Please.
I will definitely.
Thanks. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Well, Phil's great. I'm sorry, Phil's great. I don't always agree with Phil and everything, but I think he's a great dude. He's extremely well informed.
Yes, he is.
Hell, more than I ever be.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another call.
Okay.
Hello, you're on the air.
Is this seat hot or is it me?
No, it's hot.
You're in the hot seat.
Yeah, kidding.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
They've militarized the courthouse, where most people are militarizing the police department. For them to say it's for some code violation is militarizing the courthouse. They think they can sick the officery on things and bring them through the courts to revenue generate, and could care less about 215 or the other things. Like I mentioned before, that's what's going on there.
But you're off topic. We're talking with John Brosnan right now, so save that for another conversation, okay? Thank you. Bye. Okay, John, go ahead and get back to there.
Yeah, hey, John.
Oh,
how you feeling, dude?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay.
We're very good. All right, okay. Oh, anyway, okay, easy question for you. Is this a full-time or part-time job?
Oh, it would definitely have to be a full-time job.
And you're going to put up the hours necessary in?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, on that note, and this is my biggest bugaboo with the current admin, and I'm not speaking personally, I'm just talking in general terms, folks, is their lack of availability, a lack of communication returning to myself and or my wife, and now it could be because we're media, not just considered, quote, local citizens. And of course, we're still carpetbaggers from Arizona, so, it's kind of hard for it to get any respect anyway. But so my question here is, if you plan on doing this as a full-time job, do you have any plans or any ideas or any thoughts about how you're going to keep yourself available to the public and how you're going to go about communicating with the public?
Okay, well, I'm going to run the risk of being honest again.
Well, that's what I want.
All right. Accessibility, or the public having accessibility to their representative, their supervisor of their district, is paramount and is crucial. So I would have an email address, I would have a cell phone, I'd have an office number, I would be available, I'd be in the office when I could be in the office. If I'm out doing the rounds of these appointments with whatever, I got to go places, see things, meet people, obviously I'll have a cell phone. But on the other hand, an elected official, we don't have a direct democracy here. We have kind of an electorate democracy, and when you elect an official, you've got to have trust and faith in that official that's going to make decisions that you yourself have already pondered about, and he has aligned himself or she has aligned himself with your decision making and your thoughts, what's good for your community, in this particular case, District 3. So while I would be available, I think it's really honest to tell the people that if an elected official had to take time out for each and every individual and to try to weigh each and every individual factor in, nothing would ever get done. So you have to avail yourself to those people, and this is part of what I'm talking about, of gathering together the unvoiced people, the unrepresented people, to step up, to matriculate into the system, to assimilate into the system, so that their voices can be heard, so they can do things like volunteer, help to do the things. We're going on a volunteer cleanup at the Oaks here on Saturday. Those people that are volunteering on this cleanup are the people that need to also be part of the voice that represents groups. So, for example, if I was elected to be district supervisor for District 3, I would try to promote each hamlet, each township, Upper Lake, Lucerne, Nice, Glen Haven, the Oaks, Bachelor Valley area, all the way down to Double Eagle, down where Herb lives, and in Long Valley Road, to get people to represent. So you got a town hall meeting at Upper Lake, they could represent one person from that group, so that when these people, each once a month, they can meet with the supervisor, they can come down to the board meetings, so that when these people walk into a boardroom, they represent that town. And so that really gets the attention of all the other supervisors. When people walk into the boardroom, our boardroom of my district, and they represent Upper Lake and they represent Lucerne and Nice, and not just a concerned citizen, but they represent a group of people who are already part of a local council, that has more weight and more impact than thousands of people calling on a phone and sending me emails. So I'm encouraging people, especially people who have not been involved, to stand up, be counted, and be involved. No matter where you start, there's no place too low to start. You start. We're going out and picking up garbage on Saturday. So I don't know how much lower you can go. Get down in the gutter, pick up the garbage, put it in the bag, put it in the trailer, take it to the dumps, and then at the end of the day say, what a good job we've done.
Right. So basically you're trying to get the community to get more involved in their own local district or local area, and then convey their information or their thoughts and opinions then to you as a supervisor.
Right, because a lot of people feel that their vote doesn't count. They feel their voice doesn't count, and I say, no, it counts. It counts way more than you realize. You just don't realize it yet, and it really does count.
Okay. In my observations of the 20-odd months I've been up here in Lake County, and unfortunately in other areas of the country, similar things have happened. It's been very obvious to me that at public meetings of the Board of Supervisors, at the public meetings of city councils, both Lakeport and Clear Lake, that the elected officials sit up on their podiums listening to the public's comment.
Hopefully, listening.
Well, that's
Sometimes.
that's my point, is that they're sitting up there and they're listening, but then they do their own thing. So my question to you is, number one, I realize citizens may not have all of the information to make a prudent decision when they're speaking out there. I mean, I'm just as guilty as anyone else of that. I have my own opinions. I voice my opinion and may not know all the facts that a elected official may have available to them. On the other hand, they also have staff. No matter what level of government, they have staff. Paid staff that the citizens pay through their taxes. These people are supposed to be good at their job. They're supposed to have education. They're supposed to have the knowledge and experience. Yet, it appears to me, in my observations, that elected officials don't even pay attention to their own staff recommendations. What do you think about that? And what is your philosophy or your way of doing business, if you're elected, be able to work and understand what staff's recommendations are and their thoughts behind it?
Give me, well, obviously, that the answer to that is yeah, you should. But I mean, give me an example of what you're talking about here, where they're not listening to their staff or their recommendations paid by their administration. You know,
well,
paid for the.
I don't want to bring it because I can use the lake tax.
Okay.
As an example, we spoke to Scott DeLeon. I'm not trying to put him on the hot seat by any means. I've talked to Anita Grant, right? Grant, without putting her on the hot seat.
Sure.
And they made some recommendations regarding the Measure L that the board said, no. And or, in one instance, they both agreed to present their information to the board, but they were afraid to.
Are you talking about the 0.25%
Yes.
versus the 0.5%?
Right, and other things regarding the actual measure itself. So, and I don't want, you asked for an example, so I gave an example, but there's a lot more out there, and you've seen the public meetings. You probably can relate to some of these things. So my question really is, since none of us are experts in everything, especially me, how are you going to deal with the staff and discuss and really get into their recommendations or their thoughts behind certain instances where the board is requesting information from them?
Well, I mean, if you're asking me, as a supervisor of District 3 and a member of a 5-member board, would I be inclined to listen to the advice of the staff? Is that what you're asking me? Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, that's what the people voted me to do, right? I'm the representative. I'm not the rule maker. I'm the representative. The people make the rules. They do the voting. I'm just simply the guy up there who's supposed to be listening to everything, keep everything fair and impartial, keep the balance, listen to the advice of the staff, listen to the advice of the county council, and then make an informed decision. It's called an informed decision. I'm not supposed to bring my own opinion in. I'm supposed to include my opinion with an informed decision of members of the staff.
Do you think the current board's doing that?
You know, I really honestly can't tell you. I haven't paid attention to whether or not they're doing that.
Right.
You know, I mean, in all honesty.
Fair enough. Okay. I brought up Measure L. Let's talk about Measure L briefly. First of all, are you for or against?
You know, there's another. I got a guy up in the area that I live in says straight up, I ain't voting for you if you're going to do new taxes. No new tax. You know, and it's
that sounds like me.
Everybody, nobody. I mean, but you know what? I personally don't like to pay taxes, but I pay them. And I personally don't like to pay new taxes, but I have to pay them if they become implemented. Right. You know, and the Democrats always say no new taxes, but they're the biggest proponents of taxes.
Of course they are.
And then the Republicans say no new taxes, but they're only talking about themselves. They don't want to pay and everybody else has to pay. So what I'm saying is that with the tax structure we have, can we get done the things we need to get done? Okay, and that's real simple. It doesn't mean that I would sit there and say, okay, no new tax, because obviously money has to come from somewhere, and if we rely on people to voluntarily come up and pay money to help something move forward, then obviously it's not going to work. At least it hasn't worked thus far. So, am I in favor? I would say, and Phil will probably tell me I'm indecisive on this one. But the bottom line is I think 2.4 million is a little bit much. I think 1.2, a 0.25% tax would have been probably a more saner approach, and so on that measure, I don't know. I probably would. You had to do that.
I'm sorry. People want to know.
Yeah. You know what? I believe in this county. I really, really do. I believe in the geography of this county, the geological structure of this county. I believe in I'm going to be I took my first steps in this county on Cobb Mountain and Whispering Pines, and it looks like I'll be taking my last steps here. So I believe in it. And so because of that, and because we can't change it to 0.25%, I'd have to say that I would vote for it, Because I really want to give this county every opportunity to get that lake clean and to make sure that money is funded and directed to specifically where it's supposed to go.
So you have enough confidence in the measure itself and the utilization of the funds that you think that will help.
Yeah, I haven't read the specific language. I did browse through it, but if the specific language makes it so that no money can be directed elsewhere other than directly related to the lake, then I think it would be a good ordinance.
All right.
Okay, we have time for one more phone call, and then we're going to have to call it a day. I got a couple of
so fast.
announcements to talk about too. Hello, you're on the air.
Sorry to double dip, but I just want to know if John was aware of the fact that Vector Control has currently over $2.6 million sitting in the bank that is not earmarked for anything. And under state law, all of that money is available to be used for the quagga and the cyanobacteria issues, because both of them qualify as vectors as described in the California Health and Safety Code.
Okay, thank you, Phil. We got to go.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, bye. Okay, so I thank all the callers, and thank you, John, for being here. We really appreciate your time. We have a couple of announcements to let people know about. This Saturday, March 15th at Oddfellows Hall, Hippie Joe Fernandez is sponsoring a barbecue for the Sober Grad Night. It's going to be a tri-tip, and that's going to be happening starting, I believe, at 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. You have something to say about that?
Well, no. I just wanted to also say before we closed that I will be having my own airtime here on KPFZ.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I'll be probably speaking once a week for at least an hour or two.
Cool.
So I encourage the people to listen.
Do you have any idea when yet?
If I can get some help in doing this, we'll start next Monday.
Oh, but you need an engineer? Is that
I need help. I don't have, like I said, I don't have a campaign manager or team yet.
Right,
so I'm hoping that people will step up.
So if people want to contact you, where can they reach you at?
501-7157, area code 707.
501.
501-7157, and I welcome anybody's help, and because a campaign can't be won by one man.
Right on. Okay, well, thank you, John. I'm sorry we have to rush out, but we got to get these other announcements in before the end of the day. Also, on more political notes, Jerry Spittler will be having her District 2 Supervisor campaign kickoff on Saturday, also from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Clear Lake American Legion Hall. There'll be coffee and desserts, and if you'd like more information on that, you can call 994-6303. And there's one more event being sponsored by the Democrats. I believe that... let's see what his name is. Jeff Smith and Herb Gurr are going to be speaking to the Lake County Democrats, and I'm looking for the event on that. And is it now? It's the Lake County Democrats.
No, but there's a Green Party one coming up too.
Okay, we don't have any information on that right now. So right now I'm just letting people know with what we got, and that is what we have. And I can't find the actual posting on that, but you can contact Robert Taylor for more information on that event. I know he did create an event because I saw it this morning, but now I can't find it, of course. If you have the information on the Green Party, we can announce that as well.
I think I do here. It's 4 p.m. At the pizza place there, the was it Round Table or whatever?
Round Table,
Yeah,
yes.
Round Table Pizza.
and, at 4 p.m. And I think I know I'm going to be there, and I think Jim Steele.
What day is it?
The 16th.
Okay,
this
and
Sunday.
here's what the other event is. I did find it. Herb Gura, Jeff Smith are going to be talking about their runs for County Supervisor in District 3 and District 2 for the Lower Lake Community Action Center in Lower Lake. That's at 16745 2nd Street. That's also on Saturday at 11 a.m. So you can have a full day of politics and entertainment and good food, just hopping around the county
Good
here
food,
on
huh?
Saturday. Yeah.
All right. Never refuse good food.
Okay, so that just about does it for us. Let's see, I had another. Did you have anything else you want to say before we go, John?
Not really, just that I could use some help and support, and I appreciate you, Terry and Peter, for letting me come here and share
It's
my
our pleasure.
experience, strength, and hope.
And there's definitely no heater on that seat, by the way.
Well, it sure
No,
felt like that.
but it's definitely the hot seat. There's no question about that. So we're going to go out with some music from Little Feat, and this song is called Willin', and what I like about this song is the chorus says about weed, whites, and wine, but I always chase the white to water so that we could talk about Lake County and all the bountifulness of Lake County.
Weed, wine, and water. What a great combination.
All right, you folks have a great week. This is Terry Larson.
And Pete the Tax Guy.
And we're Lake County Magazine, and you can find us on Facebook at Lake County Magazine Radio Show. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch up with you next Wednesday. Peace out.
I've been warped by the rain, driven by the snow. I'm drunk and dirty, don't you know? And I'm still willing. And I was out on the road late at night. I seen my pretty Alice in every headlight. Alice, Dallas, Alice. And I've been from Tucson to Tucumcari, to Hatchapeta, to Tonopah, driven every kind of rig that's ever been made, driven the back road so I wouldn't get weighed. And if you give me weed, white sand wine, and you show me a sign, I'll be willing to be moving. Well, I've been kicked by the wind, robbed by the sleet, had my head stoved in, but I'm still on my feet, and I'm still willing. Smuggled some smokes and folks from Mexico, baked by the sun every time I go to Mexico, and I'm still. And I've been from Tucson to Tucumcari, to Hatchapeta, Tonopah, driven every kind of rig that's ever been made, driven the back road so I wouldn't get weighed. And if you give me weed, white sand,